video on my land series. We're driving down the mountain. We're on the last mile or so of the mountain road. Been driving for probably 20 minutes. We left my property 20 minutes ago. Just driving. This is how it is for about 3 miles. It's walking speed only, really. It's not 4-wheel drive. I'm doing this in 2-wheel drive. But a car would be risking it really badly due to the rocks and stuff. I have 10-ply tires. You really want to have good quality tires. These are lava rocks. They're unforgiving. I'm in first gear, riding the brake. Every time it rains, it erodes the dirt, exposes more rock, which is good for traction, but makes a horrible ride and rip your tires apart regardless of what type of ply you have. So 10 ply is mandatory. May not seem like much, but I've got to crawl over these rocks. They're little gullies where the water is just drained through, and the dirt by itself is so soft that you'll sink in it. So it's a no-win situation. 13 miles of road off grid from the blacktop from Highway 395. It's 13 miles of dirt road. And the last 3 miles, well, the last 5 miles is the worst. It's pretty much impassable most of the year. And right now is Veterans Day weekend, and this will be the last time that I can make it up here. And the only reason I could make it up here this time is because it was sunny for the past week or so. So there was actually snow on the ground on my property. You can't see any on the road, but nevertheless, there is snow on the ground out here right now, and it's gonna stay, and it'll keep snowing and just get worse. And it'll be next April, May, the end of April will be the earliest I can come out here, but this road will still be puddles in it. And May 20th, the middle of May, see, like this right here is wet. And in April that'll still be snow or water. So it's going to be a long time before I can come back out here. I might try and drive another trip the next day or so, but typically it's already snowed, it's already rained. Past Halloween, if you're out here, it's time to go, because it'll be snowing, and it's in the 20 degrees radius. For right now, it's in the 40s, low 40s, probably in the 30s. Going to be in the 20s tonight. I don't know what temperature, but if I was to break down right this minute, I've got plenty of gear, a little bit of food, sleeping bags, plenty of warm clothes. Could start a fire. I've actually broke down right here before. I brought some friends out here before, and we got lost and we partied and had a great time, but my truck broke down and left it down here at the bottom of the mountain. This is just the base of the mountain. You can't see it, and built me a campfire and all that, and got to jump eventually, but nevertheless not safe. You don't want to come out in the mountains without multiple vehicles, people knowing where you're at, lots of extra food and gear for multiple more days than you planned, because you can easily get stuck. You can easily misplan your adventure, and that can take multiple more days, and you're going to need food. You're going to need a gallon per day in extreme conditions. So don't read any other charts. That's just complete fantasy. You're going to want to wash your hands or some kind of rinsing off, possibly. Making coffee with your water is an absolute waste of your extremely valuable resource. Water is really heavy, so consider all of that when traveling. Water is really important. I don't travel with spare tires, but an excellent backup. Instead, at the dollar store, you can buy a tire repair kit or go to Walmart, more reliable. It's 4 rubber plugs with a plunger, a metal plunger. And if you right now thought you had a flat tire and you could hear the hissing, the 2 different products that you want to buy, you go to Walmart, and for $10 to $15 you buy an air compressor, and it plugs into your USB in your dashboard. And then for another $2 to $5 you buy a tire plug kit, and that'll be a little packet that will have 4 rubber plugs in it, like I said. And if your tire right now, you're on this road and you know you have a flat, you just got it, maybe you ran over a piece of metal like I have out here, for instance, and I could hear the hissing, or I got out and heard the hissing, I could see it. And either way, you have a flat, you jump out and identify where it's hissing from. And then I recommend bubbly water. Maybe you have some soap or dish soap or some kind of reason you have soap or some kind of fluid. Even water will have to work. And identify the hole, and then fill it up. If it's flat, just use the air compressor and try and fill it up as much as possible. And at that point, when it's inflated a bit, you can follow the directions on the plunger, put a piece of rubber inside of the metal plunger, and you will shove it directly into the hole. You will possibly have to make the hole bigger, and that's what the plunger is for. You just got to jam it in there and you pull it right back out. The piece of rubber will stay in there and plug the hole, and then the air compressor will do its job and keep filling up the tire, and you will be able to drive. And your life may depend on that, and that's less than $15 for the total kit. And instead of the option of having a spare tire, which is extreme complication, regardless of whether you know how to do it or not, on dangerous roads in the mud and the rain on the side of a freeway. There's so many complications, and finding the proper way to jack up your vehicle, still fall on you or some type of thing, and you get past all of that, and getting the tire undone from the back of your vehicle or wherever it might be is heavy and cumbersome, and you get past all of that, so you forget your tire jack somewhere, figure out the tire jack you have is actually for a different vehicle. All those things matter, so you need to know how to do all that before you have a flat. So an easier option all the way around is to just have a tire repair kit. And a can of Fix-A-Flat is actual garbage. You do not want to do that to your tires, because it will destroy the inside of most tires, and mechanics will hate you for it, and they won't want to change your tire out, and will possibly make you want to replace the whole thing because you've done damage with the chemicals that are inside of a Fix-A-Flat. And a Fix-A-Flat is real garbage, versus you plugging the tire with a piece of rubber for a few dollars is actually something that a tire shop could do in a so-called more professional sense, and they would do the same exact thing with their own product, and they would charge you $15 and up per plug. So you would actually get $50 to $75 worth of service for your $2.50 purchase of a tire plug kit. $2.50, 75 bucks. I've done it many times. It works excellent. Like I said, getting your tire ripped open in situations like this is a no-go. So you would want to have a spare tire, because a rock that rips open your tire, the sidewall is not going to just be able to be plugged. But you can run over old farming equipment and things that you may not realize would be in the road, pieces of rebar, old signage for the road itself. I've actually seen all of those things in this road, and steel stakes and just things that fall off people's cars. But the rocks themselves will rip open your tires, no problem. So having 10-ply tires is a must. So people out here even have multiple sets of tires, and will switch from their 10-ply to something more moderate when they're going freeway driving or back off the mountain altogether out of the country, because you don't need this off the mountain in what's called the flats, and in what's called the country, which is right here at the base of the mountain. You do need it on these roads, though, that we're driving on, which are more rock. And it's just important to have good tires. I bought my elderly neighbors out here, a set of tires and rims used for cheap for about $400, about $300. I think it was about $300 or $400, and that was with tires for a Dodge 2500. So specific size, and nevertheless, having a full set of backups, when you're out in the mountains, can save your life. And these are the sort of people that, when they found out I was broke down on this road at the top of the mountain in the snow, they drove up in their 4-wheel drive and found me, walking at the top of this mountain. It's a 3-hour walk on a nice day in daylight, not in the snow, unprepared. 3 hours, and that's just to get to the bottom of the mountain, where you're still another 10 miles, another 10 miles of walking before you get to the closest freeway, blacktop public road. And you're not going to get any help from anyone regardless. Even if somebody drove by you, they might call 911 for you, or a tow truck, but the tow truck's not going to come off of public land. AAA is not going to go on a dirt road. Your roadside assistant's not going to go on a dirt road. So you're pretty much screwed. So you better be, well prepared before you try and take on these types of adventures, to go check out your land or somebody else's land, or go work for somebody, or go up forest roads because you have a map that says you can go hiking and camping, in campgrounds and stuff that are unmaintained. I can't think of the word right now. They have no potable water, stuff like that. We're going to take a risk, because that's what dum-dums do. And we're going to drive down the road that is possibly more traveled or less traveled, but basically we're driving through the flats now. We're off the mountain, and see, there's one property up there. You see that light? There's a property up there. People are out here, and it's Thanksgiving, and it's cold, so people can survive out here. It's just a matter of will and ability. And a lot of people from a lot of states are accustomed to being in deep snow all winter, and living in winter life, driving in the snow, so it's not a big problem for them. But regardless, we're in the flats now, and the roads are wet. We're wet. Like I said, snow and different things, so it's dangerous to drive. And any roads down here that are wet because the mud and the dirt, you can sink in it and get stuck instantly. My linkage is bad. I can't go into four-wheel drive. It's possible I can get into low gear, but then it's possible I won't be able to get back out, so it's a real bad situation. And I'm gonna the point is to be lazy. I'm gonna drive the, one of the main roads. It's not actually a main road. There's a few different roads, and so if I go to the left, right now I'm at an intersection. Okay, I just came off the mountain. So if I go to the left, it's going to go along the base of the mountain, but the road is more rocky and therefore more stable, and that's the road that I drove in on. If I go forward, it's going to be more sandy and then more dirt, which is instantly mud, and it's possible that I may not make it through. There have been times when I've drove straight through the sagebrush because the sagebrush will give you some type of stability on mud, and that's how I've made it out of this environment. That's how bad and dangerous it is out here. I have most definitely made my own roads and drove through the sagebrush in this truck. I have done serious damage out here, and I don't mean environmentally wise. I mean, we're millions of acres of sagebrush and your life is in danger, so you have to get out of here. And I've been stuck out here for weeks at a time or months, but um, if it rained and the roads got bad right now, then you would be stuck for weeks before they would dry enough so you could drive through them. Even if the rain, even if the water evaporates and sinks into the ground and all that, the ground is so saturated that you'll sink a few inches and you'll get stuck. So it'll take a few weeks, up to a few weeks after a good rain before the roads are good. So you can be stuck in here. And if that's the case, you may want to need to go to the store or whatever. But alcohol can help you with the determination and the will to make your own road. And, you get bored and you start hiking, down the muddy roads or the snow or whatever. I've only been stuck out here, stuck in the snow. And again, when I was stuck out here in the snow, that was in a situation where I was once again parked or on a road that was stable enough for me to drive up and down and get the heck out of here. But instead, I decided, I'm going to drive up to the top of the mountain where I own property and go enjoy it because it's a nice, beautiful day. And I got this energy drink and, it's sunny out. But that's how it is in the middle of winter. It can be a nice sunny day. It doesn't mean that, the weather has changed really and that the ground has changed. And so about halfway up the mountain, pushing my way through snow, I got stuck. And wasn't going forward anymore, and I was on a vertical upward climb, basically vertical to my left and mountain to my right. So put it in park, and started thinking. And at that time, the truck kept slipping backwards. It was not parked. It didn't stay. So I freaked out. I mean, it wasn't rolling backwards, but it just wouldn't park. The wheels were sliding on the ice, and I couldn't go forward. And there was no way you're going to reverse down an icy embankment that I just drove up. And so I had my dog with me, and we were just barely moving, but the truck was moving. So I got the dog out, and I jumped out freaked out. Then I jumped back in, try and figure out what to do, and I grabbed a can of menudo that I had. A good thing, survival number one, have a lot of food. And I threw that under the tire, and that held it. And then I think it occurred to me to use the parking brake, and that, secured the truck. At that point, I decided I was going to forward my adventure. At that, I'd already made it that far. I was almost to the top of the mountain. How far could it be? I'm going to hike up to my property. So me and the dog hike up to my property. I had a beautiful hike and ate some food because I had a cache of food up there, and drank some water because I had water up there. I always got to be prepared because you never know when you're going to be stuck, broke down, decide you want to drive to the top of a mountain in the middle of a snowstorm in the winter and have no food or water and be walking and hiking up to somewhere where you can't live or survive. However, I did have that survival food and gear and enjoyed that, and then turned around and decided to hike the heck out of there and made it, I believe, back to the truck or past the truck, and at that point came across an elderly lady and man hiking up the road. Yes, my neighbors, whom I had texted, who had said previously before I drove up there, by the way, that they were up there in their cabin. Well, I guess she got confused and meant to say she was alive and well somewhere, but no, they were not, in fact, up that snowy road that was impassable at their cabin at the top of the mountain, where I also have property. And so they felt guilty and realized that I might have drove up there or got stuck because I might have got the last message out before the internet died, stating that I was stuck on the road driving up to see them at my property. So they come walking up, and I was just so thankful and mind blown that these people would risk their life to, you could just slip on the snow and just break your arm or something. Like, it's so dangerous. They're hiking up this road in the snow and ice to come save me, literally. If I had a broken leg or I was harmed or freezing to death from hypothermia. Did I mention how cold it was? And the fact that my dog, poor dog, I had to lift her up and make sure her paws weren't in the cold for, minutes at a time and warm her up and all that. She was a trooper. And so the group of us walked back to my truck, or back to their truck, and drove it up to my truck because they had better four-wheel drive. And he got under my truck and fixed my four-wheel drive enough that put it into gear that I could drive forward to a place where we could turn around because we're on a narrow road in the mountains. And at that point, I was able to drive back down the mountain. Or maybe, no, we didn't put on chains, I don't believe. But I was able to drive down the mountain. I don't know if I put on chains or not. But regardless, made it back down the mountain. And so that's one to live on. And now we're going to drive down this muddy road.